Sports time now. We head on over to the sports studio where Damien Best joins us live. Damien, first story not so good, right?
Yeah, just about to say tough news. Very good evening to you, Lisa. Good evening to our viewers out there. Well, long-standing Vice President of the Barbados Olympic Association, Ralph Johnson, passed away this morning at the age of 80. Brugadung, as he was affectionately known, had been a member of the National Olympic Committee board since 1986 and passed away this morning after a long illness. He first joined as a director and then in 1992 was elected vice president, a position he held until his death. Johnson was awarded the Barbados National Honor Gold Crown of Merit in 1997 for his contribution to business and sports. The president of the BOA, Sandra Osborne, sees the passing of Johnson as a great loss, saying his contribution to the association is an indelible one.
He was one of the primary architects of the establishment of the lottery, which of course became a game changer for the Barbados Olympic Association in the sense that it enabled us to make considerable contributions to our national federations to support their work. And he would also have chaired the Allocations Commission, which was charged with reviewing various projects and programs from national federations and recommending disbursement of funds to them. It will be difficult to replace him, not just based on his contribution, but also based on his warmth and his sense of humor. And so we in the BOA are in mourning today, and may he rest in peace.
The past president of the BOA, Steve Stout, says Barbados has lost one of its sporting icons.
An individual that, from a sports perspective, was a man of all seasons. Basically, he was known for squash. He was president of the Squash Association and the Caribbean Squash Association. I think he was the first Barbadian president of the Caribbean Squash Association. He was president of the Sailing Association. He was an avid sailor. He sailed across the Atlantic. In his earlier days, he boxed. He was a boxer. He boxed for Barbados. He played water polo for Barbados. He was a water ski champion in Barbados as well, and yet could still hold his own on the ski slopes in Aspen and in his wife's home country, Austria. So again, I don't think there are a lot of people in the region, and maybe even in the world, that has accomplished in sport what Ralph Johnson has accomplished.
Johnson leaves to mourn his wife Isabella, 5 children, including his son, Barbados #1 golfer James Johnson, and 4 siblings. And also paying tribute, Prime Minister Mia Motley described Ralph Johnson as a builder of Barbados. He was a very successful post-independence industrialist of Barbados, and as chairman and chief executive officer of the Harris Group of Companies, he would have led the way in exporting locally made products into the Eastern Caribbean and beyond. The Prime Minister also noted that for all his success as a manufacturer, you cannot chronicle Johnson's life's journey without pausing to consider his achievements and contribution in sports. It was actually his long and distinguished service to sports and business that led him to being awarded the Gold Crown of Merit in 1997. Ms. Motley extended deepest sympathy to Johnson's family. Well, Cricket West Indies has been told by at least one regional government that they will have to seek written clearance from the Ministry of National Security for any player from that country selected for the tour to England. The National Security Ministry in Trinidad and Tobago says CWA must make applications to all the local entities before the players are allowed to leave the country. The ministry says TNT nationals leaving the country at this time is no longer a matter for the Health Ministry, and they believe it's the equivalent in any of the other islands from where players are selected. Cricket West Indies is planning to gather a squad of 25 players in Antigua next week before they board a chartered flight to the UK on June 8th for the 3-test series. CWI is expected to receive a formal offer from the England and Wales Cricket Board by the end of this week, and upon receipt of that offer, the regional board will approve the tour. Our chief selector Roger Harper confirmed the provisional squad was picked from which the actual touring party will be selected, which is yet to be announced.
Conditions in England tend to favour fast bowling, so there'll be a lot of fast bowlers in that squad. And of course, You know, we recently played a test match against Afghanistan in India. So a number of the players who were involved in that match should be involved in the series here coming up as well, if it comes off. But I expect that, you know, there'll be a few new faces in as well.
Well, as you know, the tour was initially scheduled to start June 8th, but was postponed due to the outbreak of the coronavirus. Now, Cricket West Indies is at the moment seeking private flights to and from the Caribbean to ensure the tour goes ahead. The board says it will cost $486,000 to transport the full squad, plus management and other staff on the tour via private flight. Well, fast bowler Miguel Cummins says he's looking forward to the Windies tour of England. The Barbadian pacer on his first Colpack contract with Middlesex County in England is one of the Bajan athletes on lockdown abroad. Cummins, who has also played for Worcestershire in the past, told the Barbados Pride manager Wendell Coppin that he's doing well despite the restrictions.
He's in good spirits. I've been in contact with him on a daily basis. His activities have extended to running outdoors within the last week or so. So he's now able to complete 5-mile run from his St. John flat to Regent's Park. As I said, he's in very good spirits. Wishing cricket would be playing, obviously, but more so concerned for all those frontline workers who have been putting their lives on the line for all of us. And he's thankful for all of them. He wants to wish all Barbados and Barbadians, especially his cricketing colleagues, all the best. Stay safe, and he hopes that the English tour does come off, because he's looking forward to meeting up with some of his old colleagues and old mates.
It's back over to the sports studio where we welcome back Damien Best. Damien, what do you have for us in the second half?
Some T10 cricket news, Lisa. Salt Pond Breakers have suffered their first defeat but are still in first place of the Vinci T10 Premier League. They lost to La Soufrière Hikers by 8 wickets in today's top-of-the-table clash. Deciding to bat first at the Arnottsville ground, the Breakers posted 105 for 4 off their 10 overs, with Kadir Ned leading the way on 46 and Sunil Ambrose adding 32. Now, in reply, the Hikers rallied to the target on 105 for 2 off 9 overs, thanks to an unbeaten 68 from Salvan Brown. Breakers and Hikers are tied on 10 points, but Breakers have a superior net run rate. Well, England are about to take their training to another level after the Barbados-based Windies players resume training from this week for a possible tour of that country next month. The UK government has published Stage 2 guidelines for the resumption of elite sports training, which will see players given exemptions on social distancing rules where necessary as part of training. The decision on when to move from the first to the second stage is, however, at the ECB's discretion. CBC's Sean Green has more.
England are likely to name an enlarged squad of up to 45 players later this week, with players gradually returning to training as required. Batsmen and wicketkeepers are due to begin training on Monday, June 1st, while white ball players are likely to return later, with the 3-test series against the West Indies a bit more eminent than their 3-match ODI series against Ireland at the back end of July. The new guideline says that Stage 2 training is anticipated to start with smaller clusters of 2 to 3 athletes and eventually progress to larger groups of 4 to 12 athletes and ultimately full team training. It also stresses that social distancing should be maintained at all times aside from technical training. Now, this guideline differs slightly from what was issued by the ICC last week, which encouraged players to maintain social distancing during training at all times. It is likely that players will be encouraged to continue practices from individual training, such as bowlers bringing their own set of balls, regular use of disinfecting wipes, and washing hands regularly. The guidance recommends keeping communal areas like changing rooms closed and restates that athletes and staff should be made clear on their option to opt out at any point. The ECB should also ensure that coaches and athletes are briefed on understanding that they will be operating within the risk mitigation strategy associated with Stage 2 training. Sean Green, CBC Sports.